So here we are at the Virginia Beach Fieldhouse, and we're observing a lightsaber duel. A bunch of them, and they got some cool, different little events around where they do like obstacles.
Right.
And I saw one guy with a blindfold on, and someone else was tossing these beanbags, and he was trying to hit him with the lightsaber. And it looks like they're learning different moves and different spins and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think they call it Ludo.
Is that what it is?
L-U-D-O. Isn't that right? Yeah,
Ludo. What's that mean?
It's just some word that somebody made up to make it sound more cool than it actually is.
It actually is pretty cool. You know, I mean, these lightsabers, like I saw some of them, and they look like some legit lightsabers. I mean, aside from the beam not just shooting out when you turn it on.
Yeah, they are actually pretty cool.
They are pretty cool. Some of them are pretty expensive.
Wonder how much they are.
I'm willing to bet
$170.
Wow, I'm willing to bet some of them run even more than that, depending on what, right? Depending on what they have. Now, one thing I haven't seen is anybody with the double one. You know, the one like Darth Maul used.
Right.
I haven't seen anybody with one of those. I think I'd probably show up with that.
Yeah.
If I was coming to.
It'd have to be VAPI purple, though. I'm
Absolutely.
thinking. I have seen some purple ones around. They're pretty cool looking.
Or Ghost Walks green.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty expensive, though.
Yeah.
I think better slice some bread or something.
Right. We'd have to sell a lot of tickets to be able to get one of those.
To afford one of those, yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And then perhaps put the money towards marketing before that.
Yeah,
so
that's how many tanks of gas is that? That's like
a lot of tanks of gas.
Yeah,
I'm not doing that math right now, but it's a lot. Whatever 170 divided by 30 is.
Yeah, that would get us around the country and back.
Right, right.
So So we have half of the table set up for Virginia Paranormal Investigations, and as you can see, we have, of course, some free stickers, which are always cool. People like the free stickers. We have our table cards here, and a couple of little decorative items like our creepy little skulls, and then, of course, we have the books up in the front of the table. These are books from different investigations that we've done. We have Lake Shawnee, we have the Exchange Hotel in Gordonsville, and it just showcases some photos and some pictures of us investigating in the location. So we set up a table like this normally at a lot of events. Sometimes there's some variation to it. We'll bring a laptop and show some of our videos, but it just gives us the opportunity to get out and meet people and shake people's hands, and sometimes to hear some really cool ghost stories from people that we otherwise would never have met.
So we also have some stuff here. A little advertisement, or the catalog I should say, for the Ghost of Yorktown, which is due to be released this May. So it's got some information on the book and some of our Ghost Walks flyers as well to explore the dark side of Yorktown. And we also have on display here, now these may not be the best prints from the time we printed them, which was a while ago. We have some pictures from down there in Yorktown, some that are actually featured in the book, and to maybe inspire people to come down and explore a little bit. But this is Cornwallis Cave, and you can see this mist over here. And the interesting story with that is, I probably shared before, there was a psychic, and she said, take pictures of the cave. So we started taking pictures of the cave, and some of the investigators had caught this mist in the picture. I believe it was actually her that took this picture. And you can see the mist coming into the cave, and in the next picture you can see it actually going into the cave. And she said something went into the cave and up towards the top. And we didn't see it with our own eyes, only in the picture, so it was interesting. And we have a couple other pictures on display down here. This one's taken of the Swan Tavern, and perhaps you can see up there in the window, there's a couple of different figures that you can see, a couple of different faces. And this is, if you visit YorktownGhostWalks.com, you can look at our gallery and you can actually see this picture. And there's also, this picture is also featured in the book, The Ghost of Yorktown. So if you get a chance to pre-order that book, it's available now on Amazon. if you happen to run into us at the wine festival, is it the wine festival, the Brews, Blues, and Barbecue Festival, or the French Market down there in Yorktown, we're hoping to have some books by May. Now the French Market is next month, so we won't, but we'll see what happens in May. So definitely check us out.
Brick oven pizza sure looked good. Man, I could go for some brick oven pizza right now.
So we just had a bit of a lunch break here, and I gotta say they have a nice looking food court over there with some brick oven pizza and a plethora of fried foods, if you will, right? But budget wise, we had to go out to the parking lot and eat some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and some chips, which were good. They were good peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Yeah. I think Linda made them. If not, I don't know who did.
I did.
And that's kind of scary.
No, I definitely did.
Right. But some interesting stuff, I gotta say, while we were here, that we've heard. Some interesting stories. And one I'd like to talk about real quick is a guy told us that his stepdaughter had lived down in Yorktown. And she lived, he didn't say exactly where the house was, but it was just before you go over the Coleman Bridge, right along the York River there. And he said when it would rain, and this was years back, when it would rain, they would actually find human bones washing up through the mud in the yard.
Yeah,
she would
like
find a femur
and stuff, like leg bones. Yeah, that's creepy.
And he said that she would experience some stuff in the house. She would hear footsteps going up and down the stairs at night. She definitely would see strange things and hear strange things, and knew that something was there in her house. And I think this is interesting because there was someone that came on the tour last year, and they had also mentioned that they previously lived in a house by the bridge there, and they called it the Hell House. They said they would see full-on apparitions, and doors would open and close, and they'd hear running up and down the stairs. And it makes me wonder, is this the same house? Or it's obviously near the same house.
Right.
But
same area.
It just shows you how this ground that's in Yorktown, these battlefields, where there was so much life loss, still holds so much energy, and possibly so many spirits that still linger behind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, Yorktown is one of those places that is sort of in the shadows of Williamsburg, and it always amazes me because the amount of history and such a rich history that's there. Not just boring stories. I mean, these are stories about some of our founding fathers and the heartache and the trouble that they had to go through in order to help fund the revolution at that time. And just some of the amazing stories that come out of there really make you realize how historically significant this tiny little underestimated village actually is. And now that I've learned the history of Yorktown, I'd say it's right up there with Williamsburg, if not even more significant than Williamsburg was.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking about a town that was the battlefield twice.
Right.
Twice.
Yes.
You know, not to mention other tragedies that occurred there.
Yeah,
so.
Plus they say the revolution was won there in Yorktown on those battlefields.
Absolutely. That surrender, that signified the end of the war.
Right.
Right there in Yorktown. Now, I love hearing about these little stories that you would never hear about. They're not published anywhere, they're not written anywhere.
Yeah.
But every once in a while someone comes up and tells us an interesting story like that about somebody that lived in a particular place that they experienced paranormal activity.
Right.
And it was great hearing about that.
Yes.
So I decided I'm going to partake in the lightsaber battles. Here we go.
Okay, guys. Rock, paper, scissors. Whoever wins gets to go with the date. let's turn so Master Jeff can watch this one. Where do you want him to start?
The page in your left hand.
At the top or in the middle?
At the top.
Okay. How the sport is played. Sport lightsaber combat is a new form of recreational sporting combat competition characterized by a specific instrument named the lightsaber, codified in various forms of armed combat. Lightsaber combat is a sport that is new, original, and unique.
And 7 of hearts, 7 of diamonds, 9 of hearts, aces, clovers, 2 of clovers.
What is it?
Yellow.
Awesome. Not like that. Not that speed. Yeah, to the left, to the right. Can you guys spread out just a little? Yeah, good. And let's do one at a time. Go for it, Juliana. Say it loud, guys. What?
Great.
So that was some really interesting stuff that we just saw. Those guys were actually reading with a blindfold on. They would take the pamphlet, someone would say start mid-page, and they'd read it word for word what was on that page while wearing a blindfold. And then they played slapjack, and at the end they had these lightsabers, and someone would toss a beanbag and they'd deflect the beanbag with the lightsaber and say what color it was. I have no idea. I can't figure out how they did this.
Sounds paranormal.
It does sound somewhat paranormal, absolutely. Now, apparently this came from, you said, the royal family
Yeah, I
in
believe it
Indonesia?
said, yeah.
And I heard that they used this during the war. They taught this to their special forces so that they could basically use their senses instead of night vision. And I still don't see how you can use your senses to read a page or to knock down a beanbag and then say what color it was.
Right.
Because that seems like a purely visible thing, but it was really amazing to see such a thing.
Yes. Now I could see, if the brochure was provided to them at an earlier date and they were able to memorize it.
Mm-hmm.
I could also see, some of the other things that they were doing. But when it comes to the beanbags, you can't throw a beanbag the same exact way every single time.
Yeah.
And and get that used to being able to hit it with one of those. So that just kind of is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah,
how
that
they
was
would do
pretty
that.
impressive. And it makes you wonder how they did that. And I'm pretty sure that they just picked some random people to throw them the beanbags, that it wasn't, anyone. I mean, the only possible way would be as if the beanbags were weighted differently.
Right.
And you knew when you deflected it what color it was. But the one guy, I'll have to review the video again, but it looked like he missed and still said what color it was.
Oh,
Like he
wow.
barely deflected it, like it just barely grazed his sword, and he still was able to say what color it was. And I think to
Wow.
get the weight of the beanbag, you'd have to give it a good hit with the
Yes.
sword to see what the actual weight is.
Right.
So some very interesting stuff. I believe that group was called MPUSA. They do some martial arts
Right.
as well, and that's the martial arts side of it. So they also use these techniques, they said, to teach blind people.
Right. They said that's kind of how they had started out. This MPUSA started out specifically for helping to aid blind people to be able to see using
Yeah.
their instincts. So, and it's developed from there. They've accepted people who are not blind now, of course.
Right.
So, but
Right.
very interesting stuff.
Definitely. So we packed up our table and we loaded everything up in the car, but before we leave, we had one more ghost story that was shared with us at the table involving a Petco here in Virginia Beach. Do you recall that one?
Yes, I remember her saying in Janus Shopping Center, the Petco that's located there, was this place where this woman used to work.
Right.
And she would, after hours when the doors would close and they would lock up, there would be all kinds of crazy things. They would hear footsteps and bags of dog food would fall off the top shelves and things of that nature. So she said it was very haunted in the store.
And she also mentioned that when they would get pets in, she would care for them personally. They were taken care of and everything else, be perfectly healthy, and within days they would die.
Right.
So they had some mysterious stuff happening with the pets there as well.
Yeah.
So some interesting little tidbits of ghost stories that we pick up at some of these conventions. And for being a lightsaber battle, big convention focused around lightsaber battles. You wouldn't think that we'd get ghost stories, but
Right.
sure enough, we did. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, right here at the Virginia Field House, the Virginia Beach Field House. Quite an interesting event.
It was.
So thanks for joining us, and we hope you'll join us next time. And check us out. Check more of our videos out on YouTube, youtube.com/Virginia Paranormal, to see some investigation videos as well. Also, check out YorktownGhostWalks.com to go ahead and book a tour with us and come down and explore the dark side of Yorktown. Until next time, I'm Jeff,
I'm Linda.
and thanks for watching.